For this introduction to religion and ecology, we wanted to do our own personal introductions. I'm Mary Evelyn Tucker. I teach here at Yale at the School of Forestry and Environmental Studies, at Yale Divinity School, and in Religious Studies. But I was born in New York City, a city of tremendous diversity of people and cultures, a great inspiration in my youth. Also the presence of the Hudson River and the East River, the sense of an island surrounded by these powerful river systems. My grandfather taught history at Columbia University. He was a historian of Europe, of cultural history, and even religious history. He too was a great inspiration, and that's where I did my graduate work. I went to college, though, in Washington, D.C. I was involved in the civil rights movement, in the anti-Vietnam War movement. These were years of enormous upheaval, of stress, of strain, of trying to figure a way forward amidst great social unrest. I took my sophomore year in Oxford in England studying history and religions, especially of the West. This was an extraordinary year of travel throughout Europe, of study in Oxford, and travel throughout the British Isles. After college, and doing a master's degree in literature, in fact, I went to Japan to teach literature and to learn about Asian cultures. So teaching and studying Japanese religion and history opened up all kinds of new gateways to me, because colleges in those days when I was studying didn't have much at all on Asian history, culture, or religions. I was able to travel throughout Asia, and the impact of seeing religion all throughout this region, in Southeast Asia, in India, in Indonesia, in China, Korea, Japan, was overwhelming. So I became interested in how do we study these religions? What can I learn about Buddhism, about Confucianism, Shinto, Hinduism, and so on? I made my way back after a journey all around the world from Japan to New York. I came to Fordham University, where Thomas Berry had a program in history of religions. Thomas was an amazing person, a brilliant thinker, a cultural historian, someone who had studied the Western religions, but also the Asian religions and the indigenous religions. He had a center in Riverdale on the Hudson, just up from New York City and closely connected to Columbia University as well. There I met John Grimm, my husband-to-be, and both of us were studying with Thomas, John doing indigenous traditions, myself doing the religions of Asia. For even further specialization after my master's degree with Thomas Berry at Fordham, I went to Columbia University, where I had a very intense program in graduate school. I was there for 8 years, studying the languages, the texts, the traditions, the history. This Asian Studies program is marvelous, and it's directed by William Theodore de Berry, who was a close friend of Thomas Berry. In fact, the two of them went to China together in 48-49 and became lifelong friends. De Berry specialized in Confucianism, not well known at all, especially after World War II. De Berry and others of his colleagues came back from the Navy, from the Pacific War, and began to set up studies in Asian history, in religion, in culture at all of the universities, especially across the East Coast, at Yale, at Columbia, at Harvard, and so on. And I was the beneficiary of that sense that you have to know the whole region. You have to understand India and China and Korea and so on. But the specialty in Confucianism was something I truly cherish, because that is a tradition that gives us a sense that we're grounded not just as an individual, but in concentric circles of the family, of society, of the educational world, of the political world, of the natural world, and the cosmos itself. So this tradition, which has influenced hundreds of thousands of people over time, is a tradition I specialized in, especially Japanese Neo-Confucianism of the 17th century. I studied a figure whose name is Kaibara Eken, who was keenly interested in the observation of the natural world. He was a botanist, if you will, and a proto-scientist in his efforts to categorize and name, in the great lineage of Chinese studies, plants, animals, trees, birds, and fish. But he also had this sense of qi, of the vital force, the material energy in all of life. And as we studied nature, we also cultivated our chi. So this smooth, if you will, weave of nature and cultivation is something at the heart of Confucianism, and something we'll bring into these studies, especially of East Asian religions and ecology. So the Forum on Religion and Ecology here at Yale is a project, it's a field of study, and it's a huge website that we invite you to look at to see the statements of the world's religions, the engaged projects, and the work that is still ongoing. We welcome you to this course.